I should have started the
Finally, I can die. Let's go! I'm free.
All right. So I'm talking, and I can see everybody else talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. I can see it, and the screen can. Great. Awesome. So.
Oh, also, just FYI, my washer's going. So if you guys start hearing that in the background, I can make sure to like mute myself if I'm not talking.
I can't hear it.
Okay.
Noise suppression probably will catch it.
Okay. Just in case it does get louder. Yeah.
Noted.
All right. But yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, it's quite all right. I'm definitely open to topic meandering of just. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
So here's the new one. There are a couple holes in it. I made a couple of changes to this spreadsheet.
Okay.
So, for one, I realized that a lot of episodes had an A plot that was about one thing and a B plot that was about the relationship between two people or vice versa. So I added a third character column. I hate to use Bounty as an example, but in that one, Archer is in the A plot and T'Pol and Phlox are in the B plot. It felt bad to leave out any of them. Like, I wanted to give Phlox credit for that episode because he deserved it.
Okay. He makes it somewhat bearable.
What?
He makes it somewhat bearable.
Yeah. So I added this third column, although it's not always used, and a lot of times, like, I didn't remember if there was a B plot or whatever, so we might go through these and find that I need to add one to the count. So the other thing I did was some episodes, well and truly, were not about anybody, like Dead Stop and The Catwalk and Future Tense and The Crossing. And
kind of like everybody.
Yeah, so I just called that one Crew.
Okay.
But I only counted a person if there was actual development. So for like, you know, there had to be, just because like Hoshi is in The Crossing, but it's not a Hoshi episode. I also added episode types, crew. So instead of having relationship, I put crew if it was about the relationship between two members of the crew, or crew stranger if it was about the relationship between a crew and a stranger. Notice how we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. And I actually think we kind of have more.
I was gonna for Bounty, that one, the Tellarite. Wait, was it Tellarite and Bounty?
Yeah, I think it's
it was
yeah, because that whole storyline, that storyline was like really cool. I thought that part of that episode.
The rest of the episode is so
good. Yeah. I was like, yeah.
I added a couple of. I differentiated the plot into temporal Cold War, Vulcans and Andorians, and WST is just wider Star Trek. Like as far as I remember, the Borg don't come back, but this was important.
So that's what I was kind of hinting at. Yeah, because I know that Adam hasn't seen like all of TNG or any of Voyager, but yeah, that was actually a really cool. Well, we can get into it later once we.
Well, I was gonna say I did remember you saying that like I've seen related content, and the first thing I thought after that episode was I have not seen any fucking related content I remember. And so I looked it up, and then I was like, "Oh, Borg, that makes sense." I remember that name.
Do you remember the episode, Adam, where like Q threw everybody? So I don't remember if you were there, but I did watch it recently. I just don't remember if you watched it with me. Q came onto the ship and threw everybody. You watched this episode with me. It was just the two of us.
Yeah.
Q came onto the ship.
Yeah.
And threw the whole ship into the Delta Quadrant, like really far away. Guinan made voodoo fingers at him, and they bickered for a while, and then the Borg showed up. But I do think the Borg were like much more of an esoteric threat that we didn't see very much specifics.
Yeah, at that point.
Do you remember Guinan making voodoo fingers?
I do. I do remember this episode, and I was thinking this might be the one. I just couldn't remember specific details too well.
Yeah. So when in this episode they say like it'll take them 200 years to get back to the Borg planet. That's what happens 200 years later.
Yeah.
And so like in TNG when Q like he was saying like there's stuff out here that you guys would be way more afraid of, and that's when he transports them like real quick into the Delta Quadrant and is like, here's the Borg. And then he was like, all right, now you can go back now that you know that there's scary stuff out there. And then later that I don't want to say too much.
Well, so yeah, what I did was after I just looked it up, I looked up the episode name, found out it was the Borg, and like looked at their wiki page for like 5 seconds, just skimming, intentionally not finding anything. But I know that on the Memory Alpha wiki, they always, if they like mention an episode, they'll put like they'll do a 3-letter abbreviation of the series it's from. And so I just skimmed that, looking for those in particular, and saw, Picard, Voyager, TNG, like fucking shit tons of series.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That was a really neat thing that they added in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that episode. The last thing I just want to bring up, I would like help coming up with a term like Space Bandits is wrong, but like, okay, so in
Space Pirates?
So in Canamar, they're really like borderline space outlaws. You know what I'm saying? Like they aren't it feels like Firefly, kind of rootin' tootin'.
Yeah. Like Space Wild West. Kinda space,
At that point, you can just call them like the Space Pirates.
Well, because they aren't actually being space pirates. It's more of like evoking the feeling of. It's like the crew becomes more like space pirates. I don't know.
I mean, Space Bandits isn't bad. Like,
I don't think it's bad, no.
Space Bandits. I can't type at all.
That's okay.
And the caressing, I had no freaking clue what to call this one. Okay, why don't we move on, and then when I may or may not figure out how to.
I just read your tone for A Night in Sick Bay. Oh, that's so funny.
What's funny is I wrote this before getting to either the 7th or Bounty.
That's great.
Anyway.
Oh, that's so good.
So, so I figure I want to try something a little bit different, just for funsies. Please humor me, I'm begging you. I would like to do bucket sort.
Okay.
So I'm gonna move. So all right. So real quick, here's the IMDb scores. The highest we had 2 with 8.5. The lowest was a 6.4. So we get like slightly. There was 0.1 higher variation this week in the IMDb scores.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
For now, we're just gonna move these. What am I doing? Insert 1 column left. We're just gonna keep. Insert 1 column left. All right. So I think we should try putting. I think we should try putting these into buckets, just to help us. Like do excellent, pretty good, pretty bad. I swear I'm a great typist. Terrible. And then we can sort within these buckets. Because last time
there are no average episodes.
No. I think every episode we need to decide whether it's over or under the average line. Hang on, Cora wants to leave my bedroom. I can't believe she wants to leave me.
I don't want to get out of there too. I get it.
So really
Nice.
You are so actually.
Thank you. Oh, you flatter me, Jade.
Okay. So I listened back to our recording about 10 times, and I noticed there were several times where we like forgot about an episode or whatever and just kind of put it somewhere. I mean everything ended up probably within 2 or 3 places of where we would have if we had all the time in the world to mull over making the perfect list. But I think this would probably help us to kind of make it more manageable. Also, I'm just obsessed with the idea of sorting algorithms. We're all engineers. I just want to try it. Please humor me. I'm begging you.
You don't have to beg us. Yeah. I promise.
All right. So,
are you wearing the jumpsuit?
No, I'm wearing my pajamas.
Oh, okay.
Wow, you just ruined this for me.
I'm actually wearing the jumpsuit book, though. There's more over the following day. I haven't decided. We have a tour of a facility tomorrow. And I'm thinking about wearing it then. If not, I'll just wear it to regular work on Tuesday. Anyway. So, does anybody want to start off the discussion with something they think should definitely belong in one of these categories?
Minefield and Singularity and Excellent.
I agree.
And Dawn. I love Dawn.
Dawn as well, for sure.
Dawn.
Yeah.
There was another. How do we feel about Carbon Creek?
I thought it was pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, it was really good, but I don't know. I mean, considering the greatness of some of the others, I don't know if, I mean, it's not bad, but
in my mind, this season had a few really standout episodes and a bunch that were pretty good.
Actually, real quick, I'm so sorry. I forgot there was something I wanted to ask before we did this list. What's your impression of the whole season? Personally, I think there were higher highs and lower lows. There were more terrible episodes and more amazing ones.
Yeah, I really liked season 2 a lot more than season 1. Yeah, I thought on balance, it was just more enjoyable. I don't know, I guess maybe because of the characters were slightly more developed, but I thought just the episodes themselves were in general, not all of them, but in general they were written a little better. The people were kind of getting a little bit finding their stride a little bit more. But and the some of the conflicts in it were a lot. They delved into some more difficult issues in a deeper way. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, for me, I think this season sort of lives and dies by one specific character, and that is Archer.
Yeah.
I think the vast majority of this season is defined by him, and that is very much for better or for worse. I think for the first half of the season, I wasn't really too into it. Because they sort of front load it with where everything is about Archer. Just everything's about Archer and how cool he is.
Okay, I have a question. Go ahead. Sorry, never mind. I'm looking at the list and I'm wondering if the episodes without Archer are better or worse. But we can actually just sort for that later. So go ahead.
Okay. I think that one of the things that I've marked on before is how much I enjoy the character interactions, and I feel like when they make things about Archer himself is such a non-character. He can't be a consistent character, as I've discussed prior, because he has to always be right. And and further, they also always feel the need to shove him in the limelight, this season in particular. So not only does he just not have a consistent value system, but the show is always trying to make him seem like this really cool badass. And I feel like the first half of the season really suffers from that. Yeah. for a lot of its episodes. And you just don't get a lot of the really fun, interesting character dynamics like in Singularity, where everybody's just out of their fucking minds and interacting with each other and being fucking goofballs. I think the more it focuses on Archer, the less of an identity that episode has. Almost.
Would you say that you agree that, because like in the first season, and I guess I'm asking, like, do you think that he was written to be never wrong? And like this season, they were like, all right, we'll make him a little bit more fallible. Like, we're not going to have him be so. No,
I would say the other way around. I think it's the other way around. I would say he's actually got more flaws in season 1, and they still do the thing where he has to always make the right decision, like, Dear Doctor. Where he just arbitrarily decides on something that is completely against his morals.
Yeah, like Co-Janitor is the one that is the big one for here, but there were some others like the Breach and Co-Janitor both involved Archer ordering a member of the crew to do something that they felt was wrong. And at the end of the episode agrees with Archer. Although in the Breach, it was resolved, way better, like happier.
Because they shove Archer out of the picture after the first 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still editing my video for the first half of season 2, but my impression, and I could be wrong, but I really think I'm right. I think they felt that Archer's reception wasn't good enough, and I think they spent a lot of time trying to make Archer more popular.
I liked Archer better in season 2, but I don't know if that's just because
I like him better, but at the same time, to me, it's very obvious what they're trying to do with him, and that annoys me.
Yeah.
I think my issues with him come from seeing how he's supposed to be written, and in Bounty, for example, he fucking takes on a Klingon 1v1 in hand-to-hand combat and wins.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
After, in Marauders, they're talking about how this crew of 7 Klingons couldn't be beat by 92 colonists, or whatever size it is. Because they're just crazy in battle. And then Archer just beats the shit out of this one Klingon and wins with no issue.
Yeah.
It just feels...
Yeah.
It just feels very obvious.
Yeah. I'm kind of coming at it from the same perspective as Adam, where if I feel like they're trying to achieve something specific, it bothers me. Like with I hate to keep bringing up Bounty because I don't want to think about it, but in Bounty, T'Pol is not a character anymore. She's just an object for the camera to look at. And I'm hyper aware of, okay, they want me to be thinking something specific during this episode. And I feel that same kind of dismissal in a lot of episodes with Archer, where I know they want me to be thinking something specific about Archer.
I would say that I think that actually is a really good point that you guys are bringing up, because I know and also we touched on this a little in film school, but when really good movies and really good shows don't put a message right in your face so that you can see it, hey, we want you to think this. They sort of, ones that really have an impact or will kind of just show you a situation and present it, and then let you take the rest of the reins to be oh, okay, this is actually showing a good point. Rather than if you feel like you're being led to, hey, we want you to like Archer, or hey, we want you to think this, that's very much less enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think for me, what it is that I can like paint this consistent stream of characterization for almost every other character in the cast. Travis is the exception because he just doesn't get anything except for one episode. But you know, T'Pol is this character who's supposed to be very logical, but she's constantly acting against that Vulcan programming of hers, and she's trying to, in her own way, become more human. Trip, he is the heart of the crew. He is extremely impulsive, very rash, but he always acts according to what he feels is right. And he's a bit whiny about it when he does. Malcolm.
What about it? Did you say?
A bit whiny about it when he does.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hoshi, she's just extremely earnest, extremely nice. There's not too much to say about her, but she kind of falls in the similar category as Travis, where she doesn't get the most attention. She is trying to challenge her own fears and to overcome her own weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of her episodes focus around. And there's Malcolm, who's, this very detached person who's, a bit of a womanizer, and he just doesn't really understand social interaction in a lot of ways.
I feel kind of bad for Malcolm, actually. Like a little bit like under the surface, because I feel like he's, because of like his upbringing, like he had like, it was way crappier than like he even realizes.
Yeah,
for sure.
I also got that impression. Like, definitely. I love Malcolm, but you can definitely tell that he, like, the fact that his family doesn't know what his favorite food is, like, yes, that's like because he doesn't want people to know, but like, even his parents,
like that's why I everybody else on this ship was like, what? That's weird, right? And they're like, yeah.
But then you get to Archer, and it's just like, he doesn't have impulsive.
He likes he's a great captain, but also he's a father to his men, but also everybody's friend, but or he's really good at mediating with other cultures, or he's gentle but also stern, but also he always knows the right thing to do, but also he doesn't always know the right thing to do. Like, I definitely feel like he's got some consistent character traits, but he doesn't have a consistent core, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I think that from his conception, it was supposed to kind of go the way that I almost originally suggested from episode 1, where it was like, T'Pol is the logical side of things, Trip is the heart, and Archer's almost like the gut, and he's supposed to sort of embody human spirit in multiple aspects.
Yeah.
But they never commit to that idea.
He doesn't have any traits that come from being the human spirit. Like,
that's why I liked First Flight a lot, because I was like, we got to get a little bit more into what was like Archer's kind of motivations.
Yeah.
Like instead of just being like a picture on the wall, like we're actually investigating. Oh, okay. Well, what does make Archer do the Archer things he does?
Yeah. And I agree.
Yeah. I think they need more of that to make him less like just 2-dimensional, where you don't really know, like you said, you don't really know what his core is. It's kind of like there.
Yeah. It was like, at one point I did I talked about, I think, I don't remember when I talked about it, but like a comparison, like, actually in Strange New World, which was like the 4th episode or the 3rd, was we kind of compare and contrast, Trip and T'Pol's leadership styles. I think we kind of see it throughout the season, but like, Trip is always, because Trip is the heart, he always like deals with people from a place of genuineness and a place of like meeting them where they are, and he doesn't have any extraordinary like manipulation skills, but he's just 100% genuine 100% of the time, and that is how he deals with, and that's why he's a good leader, or he can be a good leader in certain situations, where with T'Pol, like, she happens to know really great protocols and she happens to be good at her job, but she has no people skills, and so her leadership is kind of lacking. And both of the, like, what I'm saying is these are qualities that extend from that major theme of them being either the heart or the head. But with Archer, like, I don't feel like there's an equivalent extrapolation. Like,
no.
He does like to eat breakfast with his, like, he wants to get to know the people in the crew. And I appreciate that, you know, he is thinking, I appreciate that he's thinking about, like, what he needs to do to be a better captain.
Yeah.
I also feel like that's, like, his most consistent quality, which is not very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they were, like, in Minefield, when they kind of highlighted his captaining style when Malcolm was talking to him about, you know, like, you're definitely not a typical captain, you know, because, like, you fraternize with the crew and, like, right. You should want to be their friend. And then, like, you know, Archer was like, well, yeah, I get that in typical situations, but, like, this is a very atypical, well, thus far in human history, like, this is a very atypical situation because, like, they're out there, just them for years, possibly.
Yeah, and that episode did give me a lot of hope that they'd have more episodes like that. Because if Archer just got a few more episodes like that, where it was really just emphasizing how he conducts himself and expanding on his leadership style, I actually think that would have done a lot for him.
Yeah, see, I think the episodes where I really liked Archer were, like, Minefield.
Mm-hmm.
The Catwalk, I think he was... So, then he starts to...
Yeah, he did a good job in Catwalk.
But, like, I think the Catwalk is when they stopped doing so much, like, damage control on trying to make Archer look cool. And then from here on out, he's just, like... He's almost a different character. Like, here he's manipulative. Here he's... Like, in Ceasefire, he's dealing with a problem, and yeah, it does definitely look like he's trying to be... They're trying to make him look cool, but it's much more about the plot. Animar, he's manipulative again. Like, yeah. I think he becomes a lot more tolerable around this area. The Singularity doesn't count, because he's just...
No.
Everybody's silly, so...
No, yeah, I definitely agree.
The other thing is...
We may be able to...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we may be able to pin it down a little bit as we just talk more.
Yeah. The other thing is, I feel like everybody's character development was kind of less this season, because I feel like they were like, okay, or rather, for the first season, I think they had a couple of goals of things they wanted to get through in the first season to prove that they had a show. And then in the second season, it was like, okay, well, now we have to prepare to have this seven season long show. So we have a couple of episodes like the Catwalk, which Catwalk is great. I really enjoyed this episode.
I also like that episode.
There's basically no character growth in it, though. Like, the most significant character growth moment that happens in the Catwalk is T'Pol discovers she enjoyed or at least tolerated a Western movie, which is not real character development. Like,
yeah, I think for that too, it was even more so that, like, the crew saw that, like, she was capable of watching that and actually interacting with the crew, which was weird.
I think most of them didn't quite clock that was significant.
That was happening.
It takes Prip 8 episodes to follow up on that.
Yeah.
As far as character, I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, that was it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel like Trip got a little bit of character development though in this season for sure.
Especially in the last episode.
Yeah. He was actually doing some pretty good emoting there.
I think that Connor Trinneer makes really excellent facial expressions. Like,
he does.
Yeah.
That's his thing, I guess.
No, I
Go ahead.
I actually do have something to say about that. I was rewatching First Flight, and you guys were saying, like, or parts of First Flight that had Trip. You guys were both saying you got the impression that Trip was more childlike, and really, I don't think that comes across too much in how he acts. I don't think he acts too different than how he does in, say, Shockwave Part 1, when he's trying to insist that there weren't any issues with the ship.
Yeah, no, I agree that in the Shockwave Part 1, when he's characterized badly, he's similar to...
Well, okay.
But I mean, like, the version of... Okay, so we see Trip both in the flashback and in the present in First Flight. And Trip comes across very sidekicky in the flashback, where in the present, he's more, he's more of a commander. He's more... Like, yeah, he's subordinate to Archer, but he's got his own shit going on.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of saw it. Like, he was less... He was more like... I mean, Trip is always happy-go-lucky, but he was more, like, naively happy-go-lucky in the flashbacks, where, like, later he was slightly... I don't want to use the word jaded, but, like, slightly more grown-up. Like, more slightly more mature in his...
I was going to say... The main thing that I noticed from that was his facial expressions. He definitely does look a lot more childlike, even though he, it's obviously him from two different times, but they're
they want you to feel that. They want you to feel that to a certain degree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that does come from the facial expressions there.
All right, those were the questions that I had for before. What were you saying, Mike?
No, I was going to say that, like, I've been wanting in this whole conversation to make some kind of Florida joke, but I haven't found the right time.
Save it for the Expanse, man.
Yeah.
Save it for the Expanse, man.
Okay, so I've got diversity win. I've got 3 nominations for the terrible category, and all of them are about T'Pol.
Let's go!
That's Night in Sickbay, The Seventh, and Bounty. The A plot in Bounty is interesting, but the B plot in Bounty, legitimately, like, it's so much worse than everything else we've seen in the series. I think it drags the entire episode into the terrible category. Do you agree or disagree?
100% agree on all 3.
I really liked the whole storyline with the Tellarite and Bounty.
All right, you want to put it in pretty bad? I'm unwilling to.
That's my only caveat personally. I mean, because I just thought that was you got to see, like, there was actually some pretty cool dialogue about him and his brother, and like, what do these aliens do, and like, this is a different culture, and I thought that was kind of neat. But I mean, the Ponfar thing was I don't think I really need to say anything about that. So that's my only caveat, is I feel like the second part of it almost pulls it out of the terrible category, because I enjoyed that secondary story a lot, but that's my own opinion. Yeah.
if there was one of these 3 to pull out of terrible, I would legitimately say that in Night in Sickbay, which is crazy.
So bad.
It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
In a really bad way, it is incredibly fucking funny.
Adam, we need you to tie break. Is Bounty pretty bad or terrible?
Terrible.
Okay, and then I have a 4th nomination for terrible, Precious Cargo.
I agree.
Yeah, that was kind of more like a Pulp Fiction type. Not the movie, but I mean, like, the actual Pulp Fiction. Like,
Trip had the opportunity to get pregnant there, and he didn't, so I'm putting it in terrible.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was a bit too forced. I didn't hate it. Like, a Night in Sickbay actually made me a little angry. but that was, what really got me in Night in Sickbay was the time. Like, when they would, like, show up the times, they were, like, so irrelevant, and there was, like, no. I was like,
it's so funny. It's like, so funny.
Oh my god. Like, it's not even in like a normal progression. Like, I was like, wait, was the last one before or after this time?
It's really important that you know that Archer went to the gym at 12 p.m.
Yeah, it's 12, 15.
Paul was also there for some reason.
Yeah.
And mysteriously, the wacky sphere device that spins them around is not there.
Right. All right. Are there any others that you see that are terrible?
Let's see.
The only one on here that I would like remotely put towards that is honestly Shockwave Part 2, but that's not. I don't think it's terrible. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think it's like even putting it in the same category as the 7th. Like I didn't like that episode.
That's what I'm saying.
But at least it makes it's watchable for sure.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I think that's like the next up on the chain, and I don't think that's even remotely close to the rest.
All right, do you want to start from the top then? Shockwave Part 2, pretty good, pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad. I wasn't hugely a fan of that.
Yeah, me either. Carbon Creek.
I think even if it wasn't terribly lame, I think that Daniels alone drags that episode so fucking down for me.
The fact you hate Daniels so much entertains me.
I know.
He just needs to shut the fuck up, man. He is everything I hate in a person.
Wow. I think I came away from that episode thinking absolutely nothing at all of Daniels, and then you were like, I'm coming for this man's blood. Like,
he's like mentioned once.
Right.
Get him out.
All right, Carbon Creek. Pretty good or
pretty good?
Pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say pretty good. Relatively to the other ones, yeah.
We all agree Minefield is excellent, but how about Dead Stop?
Yeah.
Pretty good or pretty bad?
I thought it was pretty good.
That was pretty good too.
Myself. I thought it was especially from a sci-fi perspective, it was an interesting concept.
It is definitely one of those episodes where they came up with a cool concept, but nobody grows, which I think in season 1, the only episode where there's absolutely no character growth is Acquisition. And we had several in this season that were just kind of, here's a cool sci-fi concept. Like, even Carbon Creek technically falls into that category.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Carbon Creek definitely has more character development, but like, with Dead Stop, it's just kind of, here, watch like almost a short film featuring the cast of Enterprise.
Yeah.
That you don't actually technically have to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's one of those where like I'm weighing it in terms of, do I like other episodes more? And it's like I'd almost put it in pretty bad relative to other episodes.
Well, these categories
but
don't have
I don't think it's pretty good. Yeah.
Mike, what do you think?
I think it was pretty good. I mean, it was like the first time they ever encountered something like that, and I thought that it was just interesting. Yeah. I thought it was, yeah.
I think I'm thinking pretty good, but now the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, there were other episodes that were better, but I think I'm going to put it in pretty good for now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there were definitely episodes that were better.
Night in Sick Bay, we agreed was terrible. Marauders. I think Marauders was pretty bad. What?
I was going to say pretty good.
Oh. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah. Can you guys hear the ice cream truck outside?
No.
It's so loud. It's so loud. Yeah. Let's see. That's a tough one for me because there were parts of that I really liked, and then other parts that I was like, God, yeah. I guess I'd have to be the tiebreaker here too.
You do pretty good or pretty bad for the Marauders.
I would say pretty good.
All right. See, I appreciated the fact that they showed the whole crew helping, which definitely I think is the reason you guys found it better than most of the other Planet episodes. But the resolution was just so lame.
Yeah, what kind of swayed my vote on that was thinking about the interactions that like the society had with the crew. Like I thought that they did that pretty well.
For me, I can't think of another episode that actually shows pretty much everyone on the crew being useful in some capacity to the current problem.
What about the catwalk? Or future tense? Or the crossing?
She's like, yeah, what about this and this and this?
See, part of my thing is, okay, I'm slightly... I don't want to use the word triggered, but like, unfortunately now when I see the word Marauders, I also think of the stupid Vulcan Kung Fu scene, and that reminds me of the 7th, which I hated. But I am willing to be outvoted.
No, I don't know. I thought the plot of the Marauders was decent, but the resolution was not what I expected, but I thought the plot was decent.
And then Trip befriended this little boy on the planet for no reason. Like, that didn't end up having a point. Not that I think...
You're right, he's not allowed to be a good person.
What? Yeah.
I said you're right, he's not allowed to be a good person.
Well, it does kind of contribute to this, like, I think that... It kind of foreshadows Cogenitor in that, like, we see that Trip is a little bit of a, like, person who...
Call him the daddy, you can say it.
I was gonna say, like, person who adopts, like, stray animals, but not stray animals. Like, you know, he's just kind of...
That's Flock.
You're talking about a human being. Goddamn.
But, like... You know, Trip is definitely a person who kind of is a compulsive parent, I guess, and also kind of foreshadows that.
He definitely has like he's definitely like emotional, and I think like because I was reading on some blog about like that he's one of the only characters that they really show like crying often.
Yeah.
Well, not often, but like
when appropriate.
You know.
Like
yeah.
He's very expressive is maybe the.
And then also during one of the movies too, like he's like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
You know. Yeah, which is like I mean, but that fits for him. Like that fits for his character.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you know I've said this before, but I think it's important to have somebody like that in the crew. You know. So we agreed that the 7th is terrible. I do, at this point, I am eyeballing the 7th to be worst of the season overall.
I honestly agree.
It's so bad.
Yeah, what kind of got me was that, like, I know, so you guys were bothered by something that I was not, which was the fact that, like, she used to be, like, in the security force, which, for me, I'm like, all right, Vulcans have long lives. That was just a previous kind of job that she had. I was okay with that. But the thing that bothered me the most was that there was at least what was presented. There were so many other options that she could have, like, in ways to deal with that situation that it almost was like, what? Why is this such a, like, yeah, like, I mean, on a very basic level, like, yeah, well, you could have just stunned the guy. Like, what's going on with, why is this such a huge deal?
There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I hated about the episode was that, like, it felt like they were trying to justify, like, okay, why is T'Pol so good at stuff? And they were like, oh, because she used to be a super spy, but we can't make her too cool. So actually, we have to show how bad she sucks. Like, you know, she used to be a super spy, but, like, she was terrible at it. And she quit, and now she's here.
I mean, she got all but one, you know.
Right,
that's not terrible.
She goes back and tries to finish this job that she used to do, and she cries the whole time, and Archer has to coach her through it, because this is an episode where we have to see just how wonderful Archer is. and she can't do this job that apparently she used to do. That is the reason she's so good at stuff, and Archer has to tell her how to do it. Like, it definitely came across to me as an episode that was all about making Archer look better, and yeah, I hated this episode.
Which is hilarious to me, because the entire time I was thinking of how much of a fucking comic book villain he sounded like.
Oh, the guy from X-Men. What the heck?
Wait, which
what was his name?
person are you referring
Revan,
to?
or
The bad guy or Archer?
the bad guy, right?
Adam?
No, I'm talking about
Archer.
Archer sounds like a comic book villain the whole fucking time.
I don't like Archer, but Adam hates Archer, okay?
No, I don't hate Archer. That's the crazy thing. I don't. But in this episode, he's just like... It's incredibly off for him. Because it's like, he should logically be taking the side of Minos in some capacity.
Yeah.
In some capacity, at least for a moment, and he never does.
Like,
sort of, didn't he? Like, because he was telling T'Pol not to be like, hey, hold on a second, like let's think about what this guy is saying.
So no, that was the opposite. So
am I remembering it wrong?
This guy said that. So T'Pol was going after this guy. He was supposed to be arrested for trafficking, some kind of biopathogen.
Yeah, biotoxins or something.
Biotoxins, and then he was like, "Actually, I'm not trafficking biotoxins. I'm just running scrap." And T'Pol was like, "Oh my God, he has a family. I can't believe I'm such a horrible person, and I almost arrested this innocent man." And Archer is like, "No, he's definitely not innocent. You are not here to judge other people. You're just here to arrest people on behalf of the Vulcan High Council and Vulcanheim Command, and you just need to not question your orders and just do what they tell you to do, because that's what you're here for." And
I remember when he was like, "You're not here to judge him. You're here to get him. Like, you're here to take him in."
I mean, what I always think of is just like, there's this one shot at the end of the episode where she's like holding her gun up and he's like, do it, pull the trigger.
Which is just the most ridiculous, but like, of course.
It looks so evil.
Yeah. And then, the thing is that, so you're supposed to be able to glean as the audience that, okay, T'Pol is it presents herself as unfeeling, but is actually very emotional underneath.
Yeah.
But, this episode was like, yeah, we're going to take away the subtext there and just have her just be super emotional. Because we gotta show... And the whole thing where she, had to have her memory wiped. And, the episode itself.
I thought that... If I was in the writing room for that episode, I feel like one of the most important things to get across to the audience was about the whole concept of wiping the memory, and that being like a practice of Vulcans that can be damaging for whatever reason. But I feel like that didn't get done well enough. Like that should have been, I guess it sort of was the highlight, but I don't know what I'm trying to say.
If I'm in the writing room, I'm tossing the whole script in the fucking trash.
All right.
Oh, goodness. All right.
Pretty good or pretty bad?
Pretty bad. I thought this was the Hoshi episode for a second, and so I almost was debating it.
No,
the episode called The Communicator isn't the Hoshi episode.
Oh yeah, that's the one where they basically end up lying, right?
Yeah. So
basically,
not basically. Malcolm releases Communicator on the Cold War planet, and they make the war worse and pat themselves on the back for it. And then at the end, hey, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. And Archer goes, maybe it wasn't. And then the credits roll.
Yeah, I was actually so in the middle of the episode, I remember thinking all right, this is cool. I know that Archer's not going to die, but because the series continues. But I was they're showing that he's, but yeah, right. But they're showing that he's willing to, that he's, being more considerate about like his actions and the overall impact and stuff. But then, like, after all that, I was like, all right, that's good. And then they're like, they just leave it with like, yeah, we're from the enemy and we have all this technology and we just made your whole situation way worse. Peace. Like, what? Like, that's not cool. Like, that's beyond dangerous. Like, it would have been better to say that, like, yeah, we're actually explorers from another planet.
Yep.
Like,
that's correct. It would have been.
Yeah, I do actually take it back. I think that if I were to put any other episode in terrible, it would honestly be this one.
Okay, Okay, counterpoint. I do think the B plot in this one is fun, which is where they're cloaking the Silabon cell ship. Well, they're trying to get the Silabon cell ship.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then Cripstan turns invisible, and there's the popcorn joke. I think that one pulls that one up from terrible into pretty bad.
Okay.
Do we agree?
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say otherwise, like I'd put that straight in terrible. Honestly,
that made me so upset. I was like, what? How?
It just doesn't make sense on any way you look at it. Is I think my frustration.
Yeah. Big mistake.
So Singularity, I'm going to fight for this one being number one. It's so good. I love this episode to bits.
I agree. I literally agree. So.
Singularity was good.
Next is Vanishing Point. This is the Hoshi episode. I think it was overall good, but I do think it was pretty good. It does bother me a little bit that, like, technically nothing. I think it's pretty good. I'm done. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm kind of ping-ponging on this one because I just don't really. I don't know. There's just nothing particularly memorable from it for me. But at the same time, I do think Hoshi does get a couple good character moments in here.
Yeah, I appreciated, like, the things that happen are all about what Hoshi would think. And even though that does kind of leave it a little bit lacking for everybody else, like, every interaction, everything that happens informs us something purposeful about Hoshi's character. And that's pretty cool, actually. I think that...
I really liked it.
What?
I really liked it.
See, I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, if we had the same episode and it was about Trip, and, all the decisions were different, like if he was insecure about different things, and he was afraid of different things, would we have liked that episode? And I do think we would have liked that episode. I mean, assuming it was actually good. But, like, I think that we're not just giving Hoshi pity points. I think this episode was actually good.
No, I wasn't saying it was pity points.
No, I was thinking about whether it was pity points.
I also found myself, so, like, when I was kind of, like, just rewatching some of the old ones while I was, like, waiting for everyone to catch up, because I decided, so the Vanishing Point was, I found myself putting that one on, like, a couple times.
Oh, cool.
And so, like, for me, that's kind of like, all right, well, kind of, I enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was just a good episode.
Cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we agree Precious Cargo was painful and awful. The Catwalk. Pretty good or excellent?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was... It was a cool episode.
I don't think it has any particular standout moments, but I think it's very good throughout.
I will say that, like, as far as the plot itself and, like, the feeling that it evokes, I really enjoyed it. Like, it feels very special and weighty. I like the episodes where they have to solve a problem. Like with Silent Enemy, for example, they had to build these guns in the middle of it, and I thought that was really exciting. And I think the whole concept of everybody has to pack into the catwalk, I really enjoyed. I personally, I think I would have put this one in excellent, but I'm not going to fight the group on it. I really liked this episode.
I wouldn't be opposed to that one in excellent.
I wouldn't either.
No. I actually really enjoyed that one.
Okay, so excellent or pretty good?
I'm fine with excellent.
Okay.
I think both. Yeah, I think Adam too. I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Dawn, we already put an excellent.
Yeah, that one's great.
Stigma.
This one is
the thing is, this I would have been solid on like a high pretty good for this one if it wasn't for the B plot, which is the most tone deaf thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
With Trip and Feasel, or what was her name? Yeah. That was the juxtaposition between that and what's going on was like do they know what they're doing here? Like, do they see what they're doing here?
Yeah.
It was a bit of an odd choice for like out of context. I probably would have liked that more, but in context, it was a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can't believe like Phlox is advocating for, you're uncomfortable with my wife trying to have sex with you. Well, LOL, you're an idiot. Like, that was weird.
Yeah.
Like, you should be embracing alien cultures. Like, well, I mean, to a degree,
somebody you don't have sex with, that's not cool. I did think that I do want to say that, like, while I did really like the A plot in that one, I do think it was less subtle or nuanced than it was in Fusion. So I wouldn't even say it was as good as, like, that one was as good as Fusion. But do we think pretty good or pretty bad?
I really like the way that the Vulcan that was part of the council or the doctors, like, he was a very dynamic character.
Yeah,
the one that he could also do mind melding. Like, that was a pretty cool dynamic.
You know what? I would like to say that you just reminded me of something that I think pushes this one into pretty good. This one had 4 single episode characters in it who are all 3 of whom are memorable. Like, we can all remember 2 of those Vulcans and even the name of Phlox's wife. None of whom, maybe Feasel comes back, but I don't think the other Vulcans ever come back. And they managed these 3 characters in addition to 4 new characters with their own motivations. I think that pushes that one into pretty good for me.
I'd put it in pretty good regardless. I think the thing about the Trip plot to me is that, unfortunately, from pretty much the first 5 seconds of that subplot, I figured out exactly where it would go.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, and this is 2001, so Trip is going to be completely ignored with anything that he tries to voice. And he is probably going to be uncomfortable with it, and it is probably going to suck to watch, and it is probably going to undermine everything. And so at that point, I was just like, yeah, I saw every single portion of this episode coming, so I can't even be that mad.
Yeah. I'm happy that they at least didn't. Well, no, they kind of did.
They did.
I was about to say, like, they didn't really make Feasel like totally predatory, but then I'm like, well, she definitely way overstepped.
He never ever gives her any, like, every time she steps close to him, he steps out of the way.
He's like,
he never gives her an iota of interest. And
he's very clearly not reciprocating.
Yeah. And that's just, like, it would be one thing if, like, he was flirting with her before he found out that she was Phlox's wife and then backed off. But that's not what happened. Like,
Yeah.
Ceasefire.
Yeah, it was just odd. Ceasefire.
I think this was pretty solidly pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the one that took place on the with the Andorians. Yeah. I thought that was a cool episode.
I think Shran is fun. I think just in general.
Yeah, I like Shran's character.
And this episode gets points for it being the only episode in the series so far to have both Shran and Saval character slots.
I think they're really interesting, like, together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that it showed some of the, like, inner conflicts between the Andorians. Like, how not everybody, like, so not all Andorians feel one way or this way. Like, how there's, varying opinions. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I think we all agree on that one. future tense. I actually thought this one was also pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the whole like TARDIS aspect of the. I thought I was like when they did, I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I liked everybody's little parts in it. Like I liked like even there was the TARDIS aspect, but also Malcolm and Trip sneaking in, and like that was a fun little scene.
Yeah.
We were making fun of how stupid they are, but it's totally in character. They are stupid.
Yeah.
Lovingly, they subtract each other's brain power.
Yeah, which is a lot of times what happens with good friends. Like that's.
Right. I thought the while the conflict at the end was not like the best we've ever seen as far as space fighting action, like I did think it was good. Yeah, I think this was pretty good. Canamar.
Yeah. You gotta put it in there. You gotta put it in pretty good. Hey.
What?
You gotta put that in pretty good. Come on, you're slacking.
I was actually thinking of putting this in pretty bad.
No, future tense. You gotta put future tense.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yeah, you're slacking.
I meant so Canamar. What do we think?
Pretty bad.
I liked Canamar. I get why people wouldn't though, but I liked it just because I thought it was. I laughed a lot, like especially with like how much he hated like his neighbor sitting next to him.
Oh my god, that made me
that was the best recurring bit in that entire episode, but it's also the only thing I think I remembered about episode 4.
Yeah, he was like, just shut up.
So I do think it was okay. So I would never want to watch this episode again just because I don't like the Space Bandit thing, but
yeah,
I do think that Archer, like this whole thing where Archer is being very manipulative in order to get out of stuff. Like, I think this is important character development for Archer. Like, this isn't just bland Archer is trying to be a father to his men. No, we're seeing that Archer is having to become very manipulative to survive. Like, he may be trying to do the right thing, but in order to survive in this world, you have to be willing to lie and betray others, in order to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And as much as I didn't enjoy this episode due to personal preference, I guess I can't really call it pretty bad, can I?
Well, the thing that kind of when I'm making my decision. Sorry, go ahead.
I said I can.
Yeah, I liked the kind of look into some of the bigger universe that there's like that it wasn't just about the crew of the Enterprise. That you got to kind of see, some of the other conflicts going on with different alien civilizations, and I liked that part of it. It kind of like expanded the universe a little bit further for me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's sorry, no, never mind. Well, no, I was gonna say that. Like eventually, if we get into, you brought up a pretty good point about like having to survive, and I think if we ever do get to doing Voyager, that's a huge part of Voyager is because like they just have them like in the Delta Quadrant, like there's no like calling Starfleet, there's no like it's just them,
no
and so like
no other human ships, yeah.
Yeah,
in
correct.
Fact, at the beginning, there are 2 human ships. One of them gets destroyed, and they all have to fit onto the same ship in the first episode.
Yeah.
So.
And how they survive is like the whole dynamic of like the Federation and everything is you basically almost have to. Well, you don't have to throw it out. That's part of the conflict. Is because like they have their morals, but they also have to survive. And so it's like how do you navigate that? That's a big part of that show, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we saying pretty good or pretty bad? Adam, what's your reason for calling it pretty bad?
It's just not memorable. That's honestly the main thing for me.
It's not memorable.
I do like that part you mentioned about, Archer having been manipulated in that, but I don't think that this is the only episode that showcases that.
True.
That said, I'm not gonna fight for one way or the other on this.
Yeah, you're outvoted.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care that much about this one. It's just
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes like a lot of stuff too. Just personal preference,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I didn't like the plot of it, but I'm willing to acknowledge its significance. How about The Crossing? Pretty good or pretty bad?
Whoever
made Malcolm like that should be killed.
Oh God!
I forgot about that. Lord.
That was just like nauseating.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
I feel like I'm leaning towards pretty bad, and that makes me a bit upset because I think conceptually it was a pretty interesting idea, but it was just not executed in how I would have liked to have seen it done.
I agree. I think if they had gone more the route of like exploring the experiences of the crew while they were,
right.
possessed. Like when Trip comes back and he's like, "Oh, I imagine my life, with this girl." And
like I was on a beach.
Everything. And that type of thing. I was like, "Wow, I wonder what that would be like for T'Pol or Malcolm." Not Malcolm. I kind of know what it would be like for Malcolm, but
probably the exact same thing as it was for Trip, huh? Yeah. But with like I agree that whenever I do think it was a little bit weak that like whenever a person was replaced by their wisp, like they didn't do anything interesting. Like it didn't. That person just kind of became blank. I mean, the only interesting thing anybody did was what Malcolm did, which was just
not interesting.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Right. All right. So do we agree this one's pretty bad?
Yeah.
And we really think that Kanamari is better. All right.
I do.
Okay.
I'll even say that Kanamari is better.
Judgment.
Okay, that's the Klingon. So, you guys want to know something funny about this one?
Please.
So go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Never mind.
No, go ahead.
No, I misread. That's all. Go ahead.
Oh, so when I was watching Judgment the first time, for some reason, I don't know if I was like eating or like I had checked my phone or something, but I missed the part like about what it was related to, like why he was on trial for like all of a sudden. And like, so when I was watching it, I was like, what the heck? Like, why is he even here? Like, this is just out of nowhere. All of a sudden they're like he's on trial with the Klingons. Like there's been no episode where he, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was really funny, and I rewatched it and I was like, oh, okay, what an idiot. All right.
I have to say something, but first I have to pee. I'm very sorry. I will be right back.
You're fine.
I was drinking a cup of coffee when we started.
Yeah, like I was so like confused, and I was like, man, this is gonna be one of my least favorite because I'm like this episode has nothing to do with anything. It's like they just out of nowhere are on Kronos and he's on trial, and I was like, what does this have to do with anything? I was so upset. Yeah, sometimes little details can make a big difference.
Yeah, I'll save my actual thoughts, but I actually like this one.
Yeah. The actor that plays
the defense attorney.
Yeah, the defense attorney. I think he also plays a general and I think he played a general in Deep Space Nine. Another Klingon general who's like he's like a secondary tier main character, like, so he doesn't, kind of like Troy's mom, how like she shows up a bunch but she's not a main character. General Martok? I was thinking about the actor that plays the defense attorney, he is the same actor that plays the general something in Deep Space Nine, a Klingon general, I think.
This is Jeffrey. Shran is Jeffrey Combs' 6th Star Trek character.
Not Shran. Sorry, the defense attorney okay.
I'm just saying. Fun fact: Jeffrey Combs has played several characters in Star Trek. Shran was his 6th. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, General Martok, that's who it is. Yeah, Martok.
So I've been thinking about something with Judgment. There's 100 years between Enterprise and Strange New Worlds. I promise this is an Adam inclusive topic. But in Strange New Worlds, like, they talk about these wars that took place in the past. I think there are 3. There's the Klingon War, the Romulan War, and the Eugenics Wars, all of which have to take place between Enterprise and Strange New Worlds. So Enterprise is kind of trying to set up for at least some, like with Minefield, they talk about the Romulans, and it's kind of showing that, like, the Romulans are a thing that they're just finding out about. And and in Judgment, we start to see, like, the beginnings of the conflict that is going to eventually lead to the Klingon War, I assume. We've got Judgment here, so he escapes from prison, and then here in Bounty, they try to catch him. And then when they don't catch him, they send the ship after him and stuff. And I kind of don't know if they did a really great job setting that up in this episode. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the actual timeline, like how many years it is until the Klingon War happens. And then there's like 100 years where they don't hear from the Klingons for a while.
Yeah.
And then, I'm trying to... I'd have to do some more, like, investigative research to see if I could figure out the... But you're saying that, like, that it's not doing a good job setting up, like, why they go to war and stuff?
Yeah, like, I feel like... So this thing that happened where Archer was captured for defending these refugees or whatever, like, this is the first beat of the butterfly wing or whatever. I think it should be something that is a bigger decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Because it kind of feels like, at this point, like, the Klingons just are mad because they're Klingons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The other thing is, and you probably remember more, so you might not be able to answer this, but I don't remember. But at this point, the Federation isn't a thing. So maybe they get angry at the Federation versus just their interactions with this captain from Earth? I don't know. I don't know if you could even comment on that, because, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking that, like, okay, so in this last episode, so this episode, in The Expanse, like, the last episode of season 2 here, ends with, them blowing up this Klingon ship. And this is like signifying, like, oh, we're in deep shit now. Like, the kid gloves are off.
Yeah.
We just blew up a ship with people on it, and all those people just died because we killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume that, and all of that stems from what happens in Judgment. And I assume that this is, I don't think it made relations with the Klingons better. I don't know.
No.
You say you'll think this will have more ramifications in the future.
It might not, because it's entirely possible that it doesn't, because it would be silly for the Klingons to go to war over this. But, I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely yeah.
So from my perspective of not having any idea of how, the Klingons would proceed to go to war or anything like that, I actually like this episode a good bit just as a standalone.
Yeah.
I thought that something very fun about it, Gilbert and I actually have had a joke where we keep track of every time that Archer says, "I'm Captain Jonathan Archer of the Starship Enterprise."
Yeah.
And something fun that happened in this episode was that when the first witness is called, Mr. Guy who gets blown up in 8 episodes or 6 episodes, whatever now, he starts off his story by having Archer go, "I am Captain Jonathan Archer of the Battlecruiser Enterprise."
Right.
And I immediately lost my shit because I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's lying out of his ass.
Yeah.
Well, I actually thought that, at this point, I actually thought that could have been what Archer was saying. Like, Archer was trying to be manipulative. He was trying to deal with Klingons, by showing strength, the way that you're supposed to deal with Klingons. And then it turned out that wasn't
it. Yeah, but I liked the idea of getting a little bit of sense of what Klingon society is actually like, rather than just them as this faceless, personality-less warrior race that just kind of attacks any sign of danger.
Yeah.
Hearing the defense attorney talk about how their culture was a lot less
that was really interesting. Yeah.
And how they used to have a more just legal system. They used to have less of an emphasis on recruiting their young into the military, etc. And how he wanted to, atone for just sitting idly by and letting this happen by doing what he could to fight the system. It was actually a pretty damn cool aspect of this episode.
Yeah, I thought that Advocate, his character was really cool.
Yeah, I like him a lot for a standalone character.
The other, actually, 2 things. So that was actually one of the questions that I've always sort of had about the Klingon Empire, was that, like, well, okay, I get, they're basically all warriors, but at some points they had to have scientists and artists to create, these ships and understand how warp field technology works and how to design their buildings, like architects and stuff. So I'm like, how did they get to where they are if they're always this warrior class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is we especially see, like, it's pretty, non-negotiable that they're more advanced technology-wise than humans are.
Correct, yeah.
Just undebatably.
And so I thought that was, when they mentioned, like, we weren't always like this, and I was like, okay, this really gives some neat insight into...
Unfortunately... sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, unfortunately, I kind of get the impression that this isn't followed up on too much. So...
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. The thing is that, okay, so for one, I do want to say that, like, with the Vulcans, for example, I don't know if they've mentioned it here, but, we see with, like, First Flight, for example, that the Vulcans are all about slow, safe science, the kind Cave Johnson hates, but they've also been spacefaring for, like, millennia. And the same could be true about the Klingons, where they haven't actually focused on scientific development, and they've just been kind of running around space for, who knows how long, and they're not really trying to make better ships.
You mean like that they've been kind of, that if they were ever a sort of different type of society, that it's way in the past?
It's possible.
Yeah. The other interesting fact, as an aside, you notice that, so the guy that was the prosecutor witness for the prosecution was Duras.
Yeah.
Who, I thought that was interesting because, like, later the House of Duras, like in TNG, is just, they have such a huge beef with the Federation and with humanity. And one thing Yeah, one thing I was kind of thinking was, I wonder if, it would kind of set that up, because like maybe this is something that, the family kind of passes on stories generation to generation, like, like, oh, your great grandpa, he had such a horrible time with humanity, and like, so that last name kind of carries on that sort of feeling of a general like dislike for humans.
That's definitely the vibe that I get from you describing that situation. So
yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Judgment, what do we rate it?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely pretty good.
Okay, do you think it's excellent?
I don't really know. I wouldn't really put it on the same level as the rest of those in excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say like pretty good, but I don't know about excellent.
Yeah.
The performance of the Advocate was excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But as a whole,
he definitely steals the show.
Yeah. Oh, he was awesome.
Okay. Horizon.
Yeah, this is one I never got to see you guys or hear what you guys thought about it, because I think you watched that one
together.
Yeah, because I'm actually really curious to see what you guys thought about this.
So I while personally I didn't have any actual problems with it, I did feel like this should have come in season 1. Like it felt like we accidentally skipped an episode in season 1 and had to go back and watch it before coming back up here.
Yeah, something that I think we talked about after watching it was like, this is where it really shows that Travis hasn't had the same amount of screen time as even characters like Hoshi, because something Jade and I brought up a few times during this episode was that all of the dialogue, between Travis and these former shipmates of his, it's all very expository. They're sort of just explaining what the ship was like, rather than interacting with Travis as, equals or former crewmates or, former friends. And as a result, although I really, really, really liked the fact that Travis was finally fucking getting attention, I think it does prevent the episode from being a standout. Meanwhile, I will say the B plot, I fucking loved it. Everything about T'Pol just like doing everything she can to get out of watching Frankenstein, and then eventually being like, all right, I'll watch it, and then she just fucking loves it. She starts like obsessing over it and quoting Dr. Frankenstein, and
it was definitely fun. I appreciated that, like, this season, they really tried to slow down people's character development, like I said, because they wanted the series to be sustainable. Like, they can't get the whole story done in 3 seasons because there's supposed to be 7 of them. But one of the things they did that, I think was a good part of this is they kind of realized the comedic potential of T'Pol specifically. Like, all of the episodes where T'Pol is funny, or any scene where T'Pol is supposed to be funny, is hilarious. And I don't think they lean on anybody else as much for comedy this season, which is why I was so frustrated with Bounty, because I was like, damn, that could have actually been really funny. Like, you could have made that episode hilarious if you treated T'Pol the same way she's treated in Singularity and Horizon and Precious Cargo, where they're like, using her as the comedic backbone for this season. And then in this episode where they could have genuinely had something, at least not terrible, they didn't do it. Anyway, but we're talking about Horizon. We can get back to Bounty later, I guess.
Yeah. I was really excited because, like, I know in season 1, I know that, like, Adam, you in particular were like, yeah, they need more Travis. And I was like, yeah, they really do. And I'm like, and, at least they finally have a Travis episode, like, 3/4 of the way into season 2.
Yeah, like,
he deserved. Yeah, he deserved that. I think Jade made a good point. That should have been in season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because Jade pointed that out like pretty early on in the episode, and I was just like, yeah, I can't even be critical right now. I'm just so fucking happy that Travis actually got an episode.
Same, yeah.
Is what I told her at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, like, the thing is, like, Hoshi gets less focus this season, but she does still have plenty of scenes. Like, she doesn't have as many plots, but she does, you know, like in Regeneration, she comes in and talks to Phlox to make sure that he's okay. Like, she's still part of the crew.
She's still present, yeah.
Episodes.
Yeah.
And I think that part of that has to do with the fact that, like, remember we said that, you know, in season 1, she got a bunch of random weak episodes that she was being used to kind of carry. And I think they recognized that as a problem, like, tried to do less of that kind of episode, but then they focused on Hoshi less. I don't think Hoshi's problem is as big as Travis's problem, where, like, Travis is constantly, oh, he broke his leg, oh, he got knocked out, oh, he got kidnapped. Like,
yeah, it's like yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like I was talking about earlier. I can make a pretty clear character profile for every other character on this ship, except for Travis.
Yeah, that's still very. I have to say that's still at like looking back at the end of season 2 where we are now. Like, I'm still like, why do we not know Travis well? Like, they don't spend enough time with Travis's character at all.
Yeah, like, I don't even know why Travis wants to, for example, continue with the ship right now. Like,
yeah.
You know, he seemed, for example, like, he seemed pretty uncomfortable with killing the Klingons at the end. Mm-hmm. Why did Travis decide to go on this mission? Because the plot demands it, or his contract does, right? Like, yeah.
How did he become such a good pilot that he was picked for the flagship of the, you know, for this huge mission when he was just like, you know, came from a freight cargo?
Yeah, they do cover why he was picked, but they don't cover how he became. You know,
how he became that good. Yeah.
Well,
I and that's a fair point.
Well, okay, maybe this is just me extrapolating from incomplete data, but, you know, because he grew up on a starship, he had way more opportunity. It's like, you know, if you're a farmer's kid, you know way more about crops than somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then but then we found out from Fortunate Son that, like, most of these freighters don't want to join Starfleet. They resent Starfleet. So you've got somebody who grew up on a spaceship and has a leg up over every Earthling pilot. And then he doesn't really have to compete with any other boomers because they don't want to be in Starfleet at all.
Yeah. That's fair.
But
yeah.
Then there's the other point. Why does he want to be in Starfleet? Why don't we know that?
He wanted to explore. He had that chart on his wall in the bedroom.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they like I can get like, okay, yeah, he wanted more. He wanted like a different life than just doing that. But
I want more.
Yeah.
The people are okay.
Yeah. That's Travis.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about it. Out of 40 plus episodes, we've only had one that is really Travis.
Two.
Specifically, yeah. Well, sort of.
Two.
Fortunate Son for sure.
Yeah, but would you call that Travis like focused? Like, he was important, but it wasn't all about Travis.
It was mostly about Travis.
All right.
And that whole episode was focused on Travis and his relationship with that one fucking other guy who, yeah, I mean, who fucked up.
I'll give you that.
Officer,
yeah.
All right, Horizon. Where do we put it? Which category?
I still say pretty good.
Mike?
Yeah, I'll say pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't. There wasn't any. The only actual complaint I had about the episode was the amount of exposition and to a lesser extent the pacing. I did think it was pretty slow, but that was okay. I thought it was good overall. The Breach. I would have put this one in excellent if it wasn't for the fact that the B plot is kind of nothing. But
yeah.
But
It has one or two funny moments at the end, but yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't like the plot with Phlox and the guy that needed to be
Other way around.
No, the other way around. I called that the A plot.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because I saw that as the B plot, and the main plot is Trip and Malcolm rescuing the Denobans.
Okay, maybe, but
that's unfortunate if that's the case.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
Because I thought that was a pretty good B plot.
See,
I mean the Phlox plot. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that the Trip and Malcolm rescuing Denobulans in a cave was particularly like. There's no character exploration there. You know, Travis breaks his leg. Nobody learns anything other than Travis breaking his leg again. I guess he's really the rock climbing expert, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, also the breach, I'd say, definitely refers to the reactor breach. Which is what put those people on that ship in the state they were. So I'd personally put it as the A plot, just even based on that alone.
I get that. Yeah. I feel like they spent more time with Trip and Malcolm.
I agree.
Yeah. So that was sort of my calculation. But I totally see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think one of these plots got way more attention in the writer's room, and one of these plots got way more attention on the actual set.
Yeah.
But I do think this. I think my winner overall for the season might actually be Phlox. Minus Night and Sick Bay, we're pretending that one doesn't exist. I thought Phlox got so much great. Like, Phlox got almost no focus last season. The only Phlox episode last season was Dear Doctor, and something else where he was just like, like a supporting character. In this one, Phlox is the rock holding this ship together. Maybe not the rock holding the ship together, but like, I thought Phlox was fantastic this season, and this is probably his strongest episode. The whole thing with his son, like,
that was really
him.
It's so good.
Yeah, and it's so like relatable, even now, or even perhaps even more now. I
agree.
I think everybody can relate to having a family member they can no longer speak to for political, for radicalization, and so I really, really liked that plot line. And I did feel like the Denobulan rescue was kind of time filler, but I don't think that makes it pretty bad.
Yeah, no, I would not put this in pretty bad at all.
No.
I wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, so this bucket sword is going really just super awesome. Cogenitor. Alright.
Wow.
Here's the thing about Cogenitor. Whether or not I like this episode depends on whether I consider Archer to be like a story element. I find that, if I, in my mind, replace Archer with grainy, like noise, and he's just like TV static, and I ignore Archer in this episode. This episode goes straight into the excellent pile. I go, wow, this show's amazing, incredible. I have started working on a list of episodes where Archer would do what Trip did in this, or Archer does what Trip did here, like in some way, shape, or form in the previous show, and it's most of them. Even in the previous episode, The Breach, Archer is inflicting his values on another culture, and in this one, just at the end when he just basically stomps Trip repeatedly for the last 5 minutes of the episode, kicking him while he's down, and then ignoring Asylum, which I think I don't know if I said this to you, Mike, but coming off of the Ad Astra per Aspera episode in Strange New Worlds, and how important the concept of Asylum was to Starfleet. Archer looked like a real shithead here, and then just smacking Trip about it verbally, and I don't think the episode necessarily condemns Trip, but it kind of does. So
yeah, I think that's what makes it so interesting, is because it's kind of like, it kind of hits as one of those, like, it's not telling you what the actually correct or the actual like wrong thing is, but it's definitely making you think about it pretty heavily, you know?
I do want to point out, this one may be the first episode in the series that has an actually really good depiction of a moral quandary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned about Archer being static. Like, so when I think back on it, like, I really don't even think about Archer except for when he, like, delivers the news about at the very end. Like, I don't really, like, I mean, I get what you're saying 100% about, like, yeah, like, he really did come across as a shithead. But like, when I think about how good this episode was, I don't even think about Archer, which is probably why.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you ignore Archer, this episode's amazing. But in this episode, like, Archer's the one who decides not to give Charles asylum. You know, Archer decides that it's more important that we are friends with these people because we just made first contact, and this first contact needs to go well, and they have all this great technology, and the fact that they have breeding slaves, we're gonna ignore it. And I understand that's part of, like, the moral question of the episode, but, like, the fact that the episode comes down on Trip for daring to interfere does, because the episode sides with Archer and Archer's the one that makes the decision, it does kind of knock it down in my eyes because I'm just so mad at Archer.
But do you think that it really does side with Archer?
I think it feels for Trip, but it sides with Archer.
I agree. I think it comes down on Trip for the wrong reasons. It comes down on Trip for trying to interfere with them, when I think that the important thing to focus on would have been to focus on how Trip interfered, and how his actions affected Charles.
No, I think that was what the episode focused on. The episode was saying, like, if you try to liberate someone, and then if you show someone a world they can never have, now they will always know what they can't have. You know?
Correct. Yeah, I think it does a good job of demonstrating that implicitly, but I think explicitly it comes down on Trip for specifically interfering with other cultures. Because that's what Archer's whole speech is at the end. He doesn't talk about at all, how this affected Charles. He barely talks about her at all.
But I think the point of the episode is how it affected Charles. Because at the end of the episode, like, where you're coming away from this is Charles killed herself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is just, I mean, it was so heartbreaking. Which because it made me feel so much, it kind of makes me want to say that it was excellent. But I also understand sort of where you're coming from. And it's difficult. Like, I mean, it's a very, yeah.
I would call this a low excellent or a high pretty good. Go ahead.
If you asked me on the night that we watched it, I would have said excellent. But that was also because, as I told you then, I don't view Archer as a consistent character. And that sort of painted how I interacted with those last few scenes, because I just kind of blindly accepted that he was going to be the one who, even though he's done the same shit that Trip's done, and Trip is absolutely right in pointing that out, that he was going to side with the other, or, he was going to come out against Trip in this scenario just for plot convenience almost more than anything. And at the time, I thought that was just a consequence of the writing, but I don't think that's a fair assessment of the episode. I think I have to also acknowledge that inconsistency with Archer as a character does exist, and I think that does drag down the episode.
I agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
Strong, pretty good, or excellent?
Strong, pretty good, I'd say. personally.
Mike?
I'd say weak excellent.
I also say weak excellent.
Okay.
It's definitely not as good as some of the others as far as like pure, but it's just, I don't know.
But speaking of things that I think are actually excellent, like not a weak excellent, but excellent, Regeneration. I think this is an excellent episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any debate on that. Yeah.
Great. First Flight. Don't everybody talk at once.
Yeah, right?
I think T'Pol being so empathetic in this episode is a nice touch.
I
liked getting to see. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I'm kind of trying to pay attention to see like how much of this is genuine character development on T'Pol's part, or does she kind of become more and less empathetic as the story requires? And I do think it's genuine character development. Like I think it's character development. I'll be quiet.
I think it's character development in this case. I see where you're coming from, but I think in this specific case, it's something where, she would have admonished AG over this, fucking 6 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That aside, the flashback exists.
Wow. That's not very. I actually really enjoyed the flashback.
It's not. I don't have anything particularly against it. It's just I think I do like the idea of showing a lot of what got the NX program off the ground.
So I have a fun fact about this. So originally the show was supposed to start a year before the ship left Space Dock. So it was supposed to take place on Earth for one season where they were selecting crew members and developing the space, like making decisions about the spaceship and stuff.
Oh, Enterprise?
Enterprise, yeah. They ended up abandoning that idea because they were like, well, this is Star Trek, you're supposed to be in space. But I think that this episode is a bit of a leftover from, that concept that originally we were going to spend a season on Earth picking people for each job, getting people to know each other, establishing people's families and stuff like that before we got started. But then they didn't do that. Which,
that would have actually been a really interesting take. I mean, it's hard to say whether I would have liked it or not, but
yeah, I agree. It could have been really interesting, but it also could have sucked.
Yeah, I could have also been like, I could see myself being really annoyed. Like, all right, that's great. Now get into space. But
I would say like
it's like what.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like when I think about like other shows that kind of have a different tone, I feel like it would have had a different tone, kind of like some of the Battlestar Galactica spinoffs. I don't know if you guys have seen any of those, like Caprica and like stuff where you kind of see more of the people that are forming some of the later kind of setting the stage for a lot of the later stuff.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but because it's Star Trek, like I guess it would depend how they did it. Yeah, it's hard to say whether I would have liked it or not.
So, what did you think of this episode, Mike?
I liked it. I liked it because I wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say I liked it because I wasn't expecting it, but I was pleasantly surprised at how they dove into Archer more.
Yeah.
Like they gave him a little more depth, and I was like, nice, dude. Like it's about time. Like this is important. Yeah. This is really important. Yeah.
I'm kind of willing to put this one in excellent. The only thing I would say as a negative is that well, I was going to say Trip is a little bit sidekicky, but I don't think I would have even noticed if it wasn't for the fact that I was hyper aware of it from Shockwave Part 1. So I'm not even mad. There were other touches that were really good, like what you said about Ruby. That's hilarious. That's so good. I thought this one was great. I really liked it. It also, you don't realize how much it's setting up for The Expanse until The Expanse hits, but it's good.
Yeah.
So what do we think? Excellent, pretty good, pretty bad? It's not terrible.
I would say pretty good or excellent between those two.
I'd say pretty good, but
okay.
I'm down for excellent. I don't care.
All right, Bounty. We all agree this one fucking sucks. It's. I mean,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm hearing what you're saying. That's positive about the. About.
That's all right.
But
Yeah.
This is one episode that I think like I was thinking, for like a solid 12 hours after I watched this episode, I was like, if it's possible to get the death penalty for directing an episode of television, this
yeah. Yeah, I'd say definitely on
oh my god,
pretty bad side.
She's looking up the fucking director.
I am.
What happened to him or her?
Oh shit! Okay, this one of them's called The Bounty, and
okay.
Oh, okay, and it's the opposite.
It's the second one.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw Samus over on the right, and I was like, "Wait, what is? That's not part of Star Trek."
That would be tight if it was, though.
Yeah, it would. That would be awesome.
Who directed this? Roxanne Dawson directed this? What? Why?
She plays B'Elanna.
She plays B'Elanna.
Yeah, B'Elanna Torres. Dang.
So B'Elanna Torres was the chief engineer in Voyager. She's damn good at her job.
Yeah.
As far as I remember, she's not sexualized basically at all. Like a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, a little bit, but not overly.
She's half Klingon. She's a damn good character.
She's an awesome character.
Yeah. And
yeah, B'Elanna's a great character.
Okay, so what's your stance on the death penalty now, Jade?
She's like, wait, no.
Mike Sussman and Phyllis Strong. Let's see who these people are.
Mike Sussman is a bit on the nose.
Yeah, every time I see that, I think that. I'm like, that's pretty sus.
So he only wrote this episode?
Really?
This is the only episode
I feel like I've seen his name before.
Where's Mike Sussman? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like I've seen Sussman's name. Ooh, did he do that crossover episode in Deep Space Nine where they go back to the Enterprise from the original series?
He did. No.
No. Okay.
That was Bajan.
And he wrote Civilization.
He also wrote the Catwalk.
Fusion. Are you talking the same person wrote Fusion and Bounty? Oh,
wow.
God, okay,
and Regeneration.
Wow.
All right, so it seems like it's really truly Hans Tobias's fault. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wrote E Squared and I'm trying to remember these other episodes. Some of these are some very like not disgusting episodes.
You know, I think Bounty goes into pretty bad just for not showing us Phlox throwing ass.
If Bounty isn't like in my mind, it's the 7th and then Bounty and like
yeah.
Okay, so
no, that's what I'm saying is that it saves the episode of Phlox throws ass, but that's beside the point.
Come on, Phlox.
All right, so how about The Expanse? This is the last one we're on. I personally thought that episode was excellent.
I like it. I put it in excellent for sure.
That was the
I would agree with that.
Was the only season opener or ender that I actually liked, but also it did so much.
Yeah, it was a super strong episode.
It's a fantastic episode for setting up the next season.
Yeah, my when I got finished with it, I'm like, man, season 3 is gonna be crazy. Like, I mean, kind of that feeling, you know, like because it really set up, like it's everything kind of got serious. Like it's like, oh fuck, like we're not playing around anymore. Like this is not that I felt like everything has been silly. I'm just, silly can be good, but you know what I mean. Like, like as a plot wise,
All right, so let's run through these real quick and put them in an order. So of our excellent episodes, which one's number 1?
Singularity.
I vote Singularity.
I would vote Dawn, but I'm outvoted, so.
You are outvoted. Okay. What's number 2? It's Dawn.
You are the weakest link.
I would say Minefield, personally. Maybe I'm crazy.
Minefield was good.
I might say, actually, The Expanse.
That's
so much.
Expanse was really good. Yeah.
Somebody's got a cave.
I would say I would be okay with The Expanse.
I'm fine with The Expanse.
Mother of Bob. Okay. All right. So Dawn or Minefield being next? It's between.
You're the tiebreaker.
Shit. I do actually think Minefield is better. I love Malcolm so much, and this.
I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna fight you on that. Like I legitimately enjoy those episodes a lot.
Yeah, so. And Dawn would definitely be next for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Dawn was great. I thought Minefield was better. All right, Catwalk.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not gonna fight that. Like I think.
I'm thinking Regeneration.
I'm also leaning towards Regeneration.
Yeah, I would say Regeneration. I feel like I should put Cogenitor above Catwalk, but I enjoyed Catwalk more than Cogenitor. I think
I enjoyed Catwalk more.
Yeah.
So Catwalk then Cogenitor.
Yep.
Yeah.
6 for Catwalk. Where the hell is it?
And that works too, because Cogenitor was at a weak excellent, so that fits. Putting it at the bottom.
7D now. All right. So next we got the pretty good category, which is big. So which one of these do we think is the best of these?
Let's see.
Actually, I think we could safely move Marauders into pretty bad.
It's for some reason it's blurring up on me.
I think you're biased.
What?
I think you're biased.
I'm kind of leaning First Flight.
Sure. I was personally leaning. Fuck is the name? Judgment, but yeah, I'm down for First Flight.
Okay. I think the third choice out of the third other one that I think is like a standout is probably Carbon Creek.
Yeah, I was gonna say
First Flight, Judgment, Carbon Creek, or something else.
I would say, man, I would say for the best out of those would probably be Judgment or First Flight for me. I also really like Vanishing Point, but not as much as Judgment
and First Flight are better.
Yeah.
Same.
I want to say that I think Judgment was the best written out of those, but it wasn't as dynamic as First Flight, and that doesn't really help anything. But
I think First Flight has, like, all of the scenes are good. Like, the scene, like we talked about Adam talked about how he really liked how T'Pol was depicted in that episode, which is technically like the B plot. Like, yeah. I think it was cool that the tiny little B plot was good, and then also the First Flight itself was also well executed. Like, there was no part of this episode that dragged. A whole lot happened. We introduced a couple of other characters that were good. And we set up for the Expanse. That's my case for First Flight.
Okay. Yeah, like it's funny. The more I'm thinking about Judgment, I'm like, that really was an excellent episode. But I would be okay with First Flight.
Okay, but which one do you
Judgment.
vote
for? First Flight.
Okay.
What?
And then Judgment number 9.
Oh, because I just said Judgment was an excellent episode. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I feel like Judgment should almost be in the top 7.
I don't care. It just was funny to hear the contrast.
I know. I think what I'm feeling is I personally like Judgment, like in the excellent category, but maybe First Flight deserves as a whole a better.
You're allowed to be biased.
That's so tough. Can we just put 8.5 for both of
them?
No. Okay. All right. So
I'm with Jade. I don't like ties.
Yeah.
Right. So the next one, I don't even tie my shoes. I only have like shoes that don't have laces.
Nice.
So
Carbon Creek?
Carbon Creek.
Yeah.
Do you see anything else that like is comparable to Carbon Creek? I don't.
I think the only thing I would really even put up there would be like The Breach, and I think that the B plot for that sucks ass. So yeah, I'd say Carbon Creek.
I don't think it sucks ass. I just don't think it's as good.
No, I'm being hyperbolic. It's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Dead Stop, Marauders, Vanishing Point, Stigma, Ceasefire, Future Tense, Canamar, Horizon, and The Breach. So I think the strong ones here are, like, Dead Stop is fun. Stigma has a strong A plot, even though its B plot is fucking tone deaf. Ceasefire is a lot happens in it.
Yeah.
There are characters in it. The plot does things.
And they interact.
They do.
Future Tense, I do think is fun.
Resolved.
I do think Future Tense is fun. We get some like fun interactions with all the characters, like Archer and T'Pol being weirded out at the concept of like humans and Vulcans mating, and Malcolm and Trip getting recycled in time, and then like Archer and Malcolm getting recycled in time. I think it was just a collection of good scenes. I do think Future Tense was good. I do think it was better than Canamar.
For some reason, I can't remember much of Future Tense, so I'll defer to whatever you guys say about that one.
Yeah, some of these I did watch at 3 o'clock in the morning too, so like I can.
Do we think that Future Tense, between Future Tense and The Breach, I think The Breach was pretty well done.
See, The Breach had an excellent A plot and an B.
Yeah.
And Future Tense is just kind of like one that's pretty good. Adam?
Okay.
Well,
I'm okay with that.
So which one do you think?
Yeah.
Wait, you're asking me?
Which one do we think is better, Future Tense of The Breach or Ceasefire?
I mean, I would personally say The Breach, but I also don't remember anything about Future Tense. Or not anything, but I don't remember most of Future Tense, which is on me.
All right.
For me, it's between Future Tense and Ceasefire. And The Breach. That's what we just said. Good.
So you is the general feeling that like you guys really like The Breach because Phlox is just a fantastic character in that one.
Yeah.
The other plot in it was not as strong.
That's correct. It was not. But I think that
I think a really.
Go ahead.
So, I was going to say, I think a really well-executed A-plot can carry an episode.
Yeah.
And I think that's what The Breach accomplishes, personally.
I'm okay with that.
All right, Future Tense or Ceasefire? I vote Future Tense.
I'm okay with that.
I appreciated it as a temporal Cold War plot where we didn't have to deal with any time travel.
That didn't suck?
Yeah. It was the only temporal Cold War episode so far that didn't suck.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
My bad.
It's alright. Yeah, I will say that because I was actually having a hard time between Ceasefire and Future Tense because I think Ceasefire is a really great episode, but the way that they filmed the reoccurring time skips was pretty well done. I thought.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. It's fun
Mm-hmm.
and also like plot, which it doesn't always do well. So Ceasefire. What do you think is the next one up there with Ceasefire?
Stigma, probably.
Stigma, Vanishing Point.
Yeah, probably Stigma.
Stigma, Vanishing Point, and Horizon would be my next three.
Okay, so Ceasefire or any of those?
Ceasefire.
Yeah, Ceasefire is the next
one.
Why
do you guys like Ceasefire?
I just kind of I really like the dynamic Shran has with the Vulcans. I like seeing some of the Andorians for more than just Shran and the one weird guy who was in the temple and
yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, I thought it kept you excited and interested for the whole episode. Like it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was just yeah.
Like I've said before, I like Shran and Saval, and I especially like it when they interact.
Yeah.
I think that's a great aspect of that episode.
Okay, so Stigma, Vanishing Point, Horizon.
Probably Stigma.
I think Stigma
would be my call. Okay. Yeah.
I think either Stigma or Horizon. Let's do Stigma. Yeah. It's the 14th and it's ranked 14. That's crazy.
Wow.
Horizon next?
I would say Horizon.
I would say Vanishing Point, but I'm outvoted, so I'm good with Horizon. Yeah. I like Vanishing
Point next for sure.
I liked Horizon though, so.
Then Vanishing Point is we agree Vanishing Point is our 16?
Yeah.
No objections here.
Bucket Sword was a good idea.
Where the hell is it?
It's 10. It's 10.
16. Thank you. Alright, so then we got Dead Stop, Marauders and Canamar. I think Dead Stop.
I would probably say, well, I was going to say Canamar, but
I had to remember what Canamar was for a second, I won't lie. Dead Stop, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight on that, because I feel like if you had asked me like 5 minutes ago, I'd probably say Dead Stop.
Alright, then we got Marauders and Canamar.
Yeah, Canamar and the Marauders. Marauders just barely got into the pretty good category.
Yeah. I think this is the inflection point. Like everything else after this is pretty bad. Well, I mean that's the definition of like yeah.
Yeah.
It is the clear
18,
barrier.
Then we got 19 for Marauders.
Yep. 1900. Goddamn, you hate that episode.
Wow. Dang.
All right, now Shockwave Part 2, The Communicator or The Crossing.
You sure are episodes.
The Crossing. I said The Crossing.
I said The Crossing.
I'm comfortable with
The Crossing, Shockwave, Communicator. That's my three.
I would say The Crossing, Communicator, then Shockwave. But it's I don't know.
They're both wrong. Okay, so if I see my thought is okay.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember Shockwave Part 2 as much as I do remember The Communicator, so that's also probably affecting my decision.
So The Communicator, like, I would say, like, The Communicator is actively dumb, but not, like, offensively bad at any point. It's just like, huh? Really? It has a couple fun spots, the popcorn joke and stuff. I think that Shockwave is more exciting and also has worse parts. I don't want to watch T'Pol get tortured in her underwear. This is a recurring theme with me. You know, I don't really like watching T'Pol be tortured in her underwear. I don't.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think Archer being holographically transmitted into her room as a floating talking head
Oh my god!
is really funny.
I remember thinking, like, we were watching that episode. I remember thinking, damn, it's a shame that the Vulcan Science Directorate has determined that time travel is not fair. I was like, damn, that's a good line. That line is so good. It doesn't deserve to be in this episode. Like,
Yeah. You know, that the head thing, actually, when I started thinking about it, like, scientifically, like, on top of the fact that he's like, man, yeah, this is going to be really tough to get the right quantum signature in, like, the right space and time. And I'm like, and then they get the actual room correct? Like, that's pretty intense.
No, they're in space and they can beam themselves directly into T'Pol's bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, the does anybody have a preference between Shockwave and the Communicator?
I prefer Shockwave.
As in better or worse?
Yeah, as in better.
Mike?
Dang. That's so tough.
I think we have to defer. If neither of us can decide, I think we have to defer to Adam's vote for Shockwave.
Yeah.
What are we at?
Yeah, probably have to. Yeah.
I also wonder if I poisoned it with this because I remember you guys came over to watch that episode and I whined the whole time. Communicator's 22.
No, I would have said Shockwave was worse if we hadn't watched it with Mike.
Yeah.
Because Mike pointed out one of my biggest issues with that, which was Archer just coming out of nowhere.
How he went through.
Because I didn't catch on to that at all, and I thought that episode was complete dog shit because of it.
Yeah, that would piss me off.
Alright, then now we're down to the terrible episodes. Alright, I think Night and Sick Bay is the best one.
Like I said, A Night in Sick Bay is the only one that I would consider putting above terrible.
Yeah, I would say Night in Sick Bay first.
I think that episode is so bad that it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I would say Precious Cargo next.
Precious Cargo next for sure.
Because there were some exciting parts about Precious Cargo.
It's not a contest. It's not a contest.
Yeah.
In Precious Cargo, there's at least that one scene where T'Pol pretends to be the ship's executioner. That was hilarious.
Wait, so I meant to ask about that. What were you guys talking about the sweater?
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, I went back and watched. I'm like, there's no sweater.
No, okay. So like, we were in a different server. I was talking about so in a different server, I've been watching TNG for like several months, and I talk about fashion failures in Star Trek. Like, have you ever seen I'm sure you have, but like the episode in TNG with Riker's dad. He's the only. Okay, like I'm trying to remember, like Riker. Yeah, so I want to find a picture of this guy. He's
fucking funny.
Duplicate of William Riker, Riker's father.
Kyle Riker.
Shit, we can't see his whole outfit, but like he's the only character in all of Star Trek, I think, who looks bad in a jumpsuit. Like every single other character in 870 something episodes of Star Trek looks damn fine in a jumpsuit, except for this one guy who's just wearing like the most hideous jumpsuit of all time. Where the hell is it? Fucking hell.
I'm even trying to find it.
It's
because I remember you talking about this and it was fucking hilarious.
I forgot when they were fighting in those funny outfits.
It's just ugly. I can't. Here, take a peek at this. Like it kind of gathers around his crotch. It gives him a little bit of a camel toe.
Yeah, that one where he's facing Troy, I think displays it in the bottom right.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, the bottom right.
Oh, wait, you mean on my screen? Yeah, it's just it's a hideous outfit. And I've been talking to this other server for months about like, look at these Star Trek fashion fails or whatever. And at one point I was watching the first episode of Enterprise, and somebody said something like, I can't believe they put T'Pol in all those cat suits after Jerry Ryan passed out from wearing the cat suit for 7 of 9. And I said, I don't know. I don't think it's the cat suit's fault. I said in the very first scene of Enterprise, like that's not a flashback or whatever. Like in the first scene that T'Pol is in Enterprise, which is like the third scene of the whole show, she's wearing what is basically a sweater with another sweater over it, and they somehow make it to manage to make it, accentuate her boobs or whatever. And
not only that, it shows nipple very clearly.
And it's like they're Vulcan robes, but she's wearing like the layered Vulcan robes that we see all the time, but it still manages to look so much more tit accentuating than anything else anybody wears in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And anyway, so when I was watching this episode, so I mentioned this in my channel, and somebody was like, I tried to find a picture of this sweater and I can't. So when I watched it again with Adam, I said, when we get to a certain scene, I need to take a screenshot of the sweater. So I did. And Adam was like, huh. And this was before we knew that T'Pol was going to be, before Adam knew that T'Pol was going to be like a recurring character, because she only says like one sentence in that scene.
Yeah.
No, I knew because you were already talking about it, but.
Yeah. But he was like,
here, I'm putting in Enterprise.
He was like, you can see her nipples. That's great. Like, he was totally flabbergasted by the concept of Enterprise series at this point. And so then later on in the same episode, like, when they introduce that T'Pol is going to be the science officer, she walks into the ready room, and I said, that's right, Nipples Lady is in every episode.
Nice.
So that exact same sweater is what she's wearing when she's pretending to be the ship's executioner, but I guess she was wearing a bra that day, because...
Okay.
Every episode after the first.
Yeah, okay.
Because even in her normal clothing, it shows in that first episode. It was incredibly distracting.
I remember that too. I remember that too. Yeah.
Mike, if you want a picture of the sweater, it's in the Enterprise channel.
Yeah, I just looked. Yep. I get it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mystery solved.
Yeah. Anyway, so you wanted...
Wait, did you put...
For the record, that was not saved to my computer. I went back and took the screenshot as you were talking about it.
Yeah. All right.
It's okay.
That one.
It's okay.
All right, so Bounty or the Seventh? I think...
Bounty.
Bounty is Bounty in this one case is saved by its A-plot.
Yeah.
But the Seventh is just that bad.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Delete, go on. All right, so let's take a peek at, what we
see how we did.
Where is it?
I feel like tossing the 2 8.5s on Shockwave in the Expanse.
Oh, you want to do that now? Okay, sure. Yeah, okay, so you want to put the 8.5s on Shockwave in the Expanse. All right. Do you agree, Mike?
Wait, what?
For
what do you mean?
Doing the IMDb.
The IMDb.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I thought that's where you're going next. If you had something else in mind, definitely like.
No, I was gonna sort it by hours and just take a peek, but you're right. We should do this first. All right.
Okay.
So this is what we think. That's the IMDb score. Okay.
Yeah. So there's 2 8.5s.
So, Mike, remember, Shockwave Part 1 was the 8.5, or the highest one in the previous season.
Shockwave Part 1 was 8.4 last season.
Okay. Then probably.
So you think first 8. And last, 8.5?
I think so.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. And it would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually give The Expanse pretty close to that rating, so...
Yeah. All right, 8.3.
It's probably closer to the beginning. So Because usually it stays high and then it goes low, but it might not be the case. That's in general.
Let's go off complete gut here. So 8.3, 8.3.
8.3 for what?
Oh, I was just saying, let's go off complete gut here to Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's a futile game.
Yeah.
Alright, come on, rapid fire, guys. Let's go.
I would go with Carbon Creek.
You want to go Carbon Creek?
Okay.
8.2.
8.2 Regeneration.
Yeah.
Then First Flight.
8.1 First Flight. Yeah.
Yeah. 6.4 Night in Sick Bay. Rip it.
6.4.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's probably universally that's going to be the 8.
I mean, she did say how that got canceled. Anyways, no, I think the 8's going to be Bounty.
Gross.
Stay like right now.
It probably is. Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
You really think
it probably is. It probably is.
Alright.
Good.
I am operating off the principle that some of these are going to make me mad. And I have a very limited range that I perceive these episodes at the moment. So when we're talking about, fucking A Night in Sick Bay, I'm like, oh, what are the other terrible episodes? Oh, Bounty. That one's probably fucking high.
Alright.
I would say Minefield, let's do 7.9.
I agree.
Sure.
That episode rocks.
That episode's great. 7.7. 7.7. Singularity.
Yeah, I was about to say Singularity. It was like
They're right next to one another.
0.2 seconds away from saying that, yeah.
7.6.
Probably something like The Crossing.
I say at this point just kind of rip Cogenitor, The Catwalk, then Dawn.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if people would hate the Cogenitor or like the Cogenitor. It's probably mixed. So
that's why I'm putting it 7.5. I think it's a little bit.
Okay, so what's the 7.6?
Oh, sorry, I meant 7.6. My bad. I think it's a little bit mixed, but
I'm okay with 7.6.
I feel like sentiment would generally be.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of operating off the assumption that anytime Archer says something stupid, people will like it.
I'd say Precious Cargo is probably 7.5 or 7. No, probably 7.4. Because people like Trip and.
I like Trip, but even he could.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
7.5? You said Dawn.
Yeah, I'd say.
We got 2 more 7.4s. 3 more 7.4s.
Yeah, and I would say also because of the second plot.
Yeah. Stigma the 7th. Ribbit.
Oh. Yeah. When did this get released? Well, no, I was going to say that because I know that the actor was in the X-Men movie, so he was pretty, like, people like that.
Which one?
The Minos or Mitos or whatever his name was in the 7th.
Okay, so you guys
and I think that came around
the 7th and Stigma as 7.4.
Jay, do you think that there's any like internal logic we're operating off of here?
No, it's interesting to see how much you don't really believe in humanity. I'm psychoanalyzing a little bit here.
Yeah.
No, go for it. I think most people can't understand media.
So we have one more 7.4.
One more 7.4.
Did we do the Catwalk? I think people would like the Catwalk.
Especially.
I said to rip Catwalk, so yeah, definitely. I'm down. Also, yeah, Mike, feel free to tell me to shut the fuck up if I'm being too overpowering. I'm just kind of eyeballing this.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
I think it is a fruitless endeavor to think too hard about these.
No, you're fine.
7.3.
Horizon. Actually,
Judgment.
Horizon. I think people will think Judgment is boring.
You don't think that they would like the fact that there's Klingons? Like, yay,
I think
Klingons?
we can do Judgment next, but I think they would think it's mostly boring because it's a whole legal shit.
Probably.
Judgment?
Yeah. Do Judgment for 7.
Yeah.
4,
no, I definitely agree that it.
You definitely agree what?
I was just gonna say I definitely agree that I feel like it's probably around that range. And that it's definitely better than a 7, but
what about The Breach for 6.9?
Yeah, because I almost feel like that would be higher, but I know I don't want to go and fucking amend everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
The Crossing.
Yeah, let's do the Crossing ceasefire
future tense. Yeah.
I think those would all be the 6.9s, I think, right? Yeah.
2 6.8s, okay. Dead Stop.
Yeah, I forgot about Dead Stop.
Dead Stop, Vanishing Point for 6.8s.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yep.
Okay.
And then
the Communicator is definitely higher than 6.6. I'm not gonna fucking.
Yeah, do the Communicator next, and then do Canamar, and then Marauders.
I guess.
Yeah.
I think what I realized is that the ones that we really cannot parse how people would feel about them just kind of got delegated to the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm not gonna fucking sit here and wonder about it.
All right, let's copy this column, paste it over here. I love having my mouse this time. All right, so let's sort.
Okay.
All right, we didn't do horrible.
We're close on Carlin Creek. We're close on The Expanse.
Sort by Z to A. All right, so
close on a few of these.
So the top 2 were Carbon Creek and Regeneration.
Okay.
Fortunately, Expanse. Then Shockwave Part 2 was ranked 4, which I'm glad it wasn't number 1. Future Tense, Dead Stop.
Yeah.
I don't see what's so amazing about Dead Stop. I did like Future Tense, but there was nothing really wrong with Dead Stop. I just didn't think it was spectacular. Ceasefire, of course, everybody loves Shran and Sval, so they're pretty high up. Cogenitor,
oh, all right, lower. Yeah.
I expected it to be in the middle, just like no, Dear Doctor was really high, so never mind. Judgment.
Yeah.
Bounty. Why the hell? Oh shit! I remember what happened. Hang on.
What?
I accidentally swapped First Flight and Bounty because I put them on the list in the wrong order. So 7.5. And this, wait, what the hell was that just now?
6.9.
So 7.5, 6.9.
How could you?
All right.
No.
Because I was taking a peek at this earlier. All right, so then First Flight, which I still think was good. Minefield should be higher. Singularity should definitely be higher, but oh well. The Catwalk I really liked. Stigma. It's good. It's not bad. Dawn, The Breach, The Communicator's the first one that we get to that I actually didn't think was that great. So other than the Shockwave, but we all know with plot episodes. Like look at look at all the plot episodes. The lowest rated plot episode is ranked like 7. Then we got Vanishing Point. Okay, The Crossing. Fine. Bounty, I can't believe it's this high up, but oh well, same with the 7th. I don't think Canamar, I don't even like Canamar, but I don't think it deserves to be this low. A Night in Sick Bay really sucks. Marauders, Horizon, and Precious Cargo is last. I did want to check something while you guys were here.
We were pretty far off with a lot of these, but I mean, I also think it was harder to game this one.
Yeah.
So I want to know if people were brigading these reviews.
We're doing what?
If people were gating episodes that are about Travis. Let me see if we can get I want to get the breakdown. Nope, never mind. So usually if there's a very high proportion of ones, it's because people are brigading it, but no. There were a lot of people who rated it 7 and some people rated it lower. So never mind. That's genuinely what people thought.
Wow.
All right.
Dang.
It's like how we expected Judgment to be received was how Rising was received.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precious Cargo, I'm not really allergic to it being the worst. Like, it's bad. I understand why everybody hated it.
I think the acting too, like, I mean, whether that girl was the good actor or not, the direction was pretty, she felt pretty,
Yeah, she wasn't great. And then Trip usually is, like, I don't think Trip was bad in this episode, but he, we've seen some really incredible performances from Connor Trinneer, and this was just fine. I didn't think he did a bad job. It was just, not spectacular. So here's ours. So we saw in the IMDb score one that, like, oops.
We read it.
We saw that for the IMDb score, the plot was at the top. We notice that the plot actually did way better for us this time, other than Shockwave Part 2, which is all the way down here. Like, previously, the plot was dead in the center for us, but now it's, like, kind of floating near the top, which I think indicates an overall improvement in the story. I think that, see, right about here is where I would cut off, like, the good ones versus the bad ones. Like, around Kenmar. Where for season 1, I think I would cut it off, like, right around the middle. No, like here. Like, there.
So there's, in general, more bad ones.
No, I think in general there are more good ones, because I accidentally sorted that one upside down. I think that, this one has, like, 2/3 what I would call good episodes, and that one was, like, half.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that these 4 at the bottom, Night and Sick Bay, Precious Cargo, Bounty, and the 7th, these are fucktrocious. Where
they were really bad.
One episode that I really thought was fucktrocious last season.
Was it the Alien Jizz one?
Yes. Yeah. Where now I think that Vox Sola is pretty much comparable to Night and Sick Bay. In fact, they are both about Cretaceans. I would rather watch Vox Sola than Bounty or the 7th, or maybe even Precious Cargo. But
it's under your butt. My what? Like, what the? How dare you?
It was just not good. All right, we gotta keep kind of
fighting the swamp and have some awesome hate sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not very good. But so I do need to kind of get going, but I did have a couple other discussion questions, so I'm just gonna kind of push us along. Well, for one, do we see any patterns here with, like, what we liked? I'm disappointed to see that T'Pol is a little bit overrepresented at the bottom, but at least she's still,
I think it's that when they reduce her to, like, just like a caricature, it's really bad. When they actually develop her character, it's good.
Yeah, see, I think the thing is that, like, T'Pol is such a developed, strong concept that you kind of pay a little bit extra attention to her, and then when she sucks, like, it's more obvious.
Yeah.
Fox? She's a female lead in the early 2000s, and
I don't think I've ever seen anything as nasty as Bounty. Like, that was...
Oh, no. Bounty's awful, but I'm just saying that, it's... There's a lot of over sexualization of T'Pol and she's handled very oddly compared to a lot of other characters in this show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times they knock it out of the park, but when they don't, it's really bad.
Yeah. So, what did you guys... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, yeah, like you can see that Phlox is in some of the better episodes.
And also some of the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Good night in sickbay.
And Bounty.
Yeah.
But he really...
Oh, gross.
Phlox was definitely the standout in Bounty. Like...
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the reason they didn't
such a weird episode.
On the room floor.
I mean, after how he acted in what was it? What is it? One with Fiesel.
Yeah. Stigma. In Stigma,
yeah.
which is dead.
Stigma, thank you. Yeah. I was kind of concerned at first.
He'd just be like, let's just go ahead.
That was almost what I was concerned. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was concerned about.
This when you guys have passed like the 15-minute mark in season 3, episode 1.
Revisit what?
Revisit what?
Phlox.
Oh, okay.
I just have to say,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Stigma. Fiesel is not in it. It's just kind of tangentially related. Anyway.
Okay.
Just there's a thing he says that reminds me of this. That's all.
Okay.
I've only watched like the first 15 minutes of that episode, but anyway. I did also want to point out that I think the friendship between T'Pol and Phlox in this season was probably my standout like friendship of any two cast this season. Dang, I really. Like, I really appreciated it, even despite Bounty. Like,
yeah, I thought No, go ahead.
Which does kind of suck because that means that like there wasn't another 2-person relationship I liked better this season. I thought they had like, I really appreciated their friendship, but we didn't see very much of almost anybody else interacting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping, and I this is actually kind of exciting. Like I was telling Adam the other day, like that I don't really remember season 3. Like now that we're here, like I don't really remember much. But I'm hoping that they give like Travis and Hoshi some more love. But I don't remember if they did.
I admittedly don't have too much confidence in that because I said the exact same 3 at the end of season 1.
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So on that topic, so they made some major changes between season 2 and season 3 to try to capture the interest of more people, which I've referenced before. You guys know this. They made some major changes that they thought would maybe help the series be more popular after the drop in popularity that they had after A Night in Sickbay. My last 2 discussion questions, and I really have to get off the phone, are: what problems do you think they should have addressed? And what problems do you think they actually addressed? Like going forward. Like what do you think they're going to try to do in season 3? But also what do you think they should do?
I know one thing kind of also this kind of piggybacks off what we said before, but like I think they're seeing that like when they do their storytelling and plot stuff is getting better, like because we've rated a lot of those higher, so I'm hoping that they take that into consideration. Not that they can see our chart, but or it's already done, but I guess I would like that to continue.
I think they recognized that the plot was not very good last season, and they really put effort into fixing it. Like the lowest rated plot one is Shockwave Part 2, which is basically almost a season 1 episode. The rest of them, Ceasefire, Future Tense, Regeneration, The Expanse, we liked all of these. Also, there were fewer plot episodes by a long shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. They should have more. I think, like we've said about like Travis and Hoshi, but I don't think that I don't feel good that they will.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is something that I've brought up, probably at the risk of sounding like a broken record here. Just reduce the amount of time screen Archer has. He doesn't need all of it.
Yeah.
I think this show really excels when it's balancing its cast well.
Yeah.
And it does not feel like they did too great of a job this season with that.
So
Archer
season one.
Guys.
So season 1, there were 14 episodes about Archer. Without counting them on your screen, how many episodes do you think season 2 had that were about Archer?
Probably at least half. Probably like three quarters, maybe 4/5.
I would put around half.
Yeah.
14. It's the same number.
Wow. Okay.
But I do think that the episodes that are about Archer are more about Archer.
I was going to say, I don't think that's necessarily the most representative comparison to make.
Yeah.
Because it was a bit more like Archer was the character being put in the situation in season 1, whereas he has to dominate the situation in season 2.
Absolutely. And it drives me bonkers. Man, I can't stand it.
It's very difficult to watch.
All right, so you think they should de-emphasize Archer? Anything else?
Yeah, I think that they should emphasize more of like some of these like moral gray areas, because I think that really is an interesting place to. I mean, I don't know. I think that Star Trek is classically that's a really good place to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
To explore that. So I'm hoping that they will do more of that.
Like in the style of where is it? Cogenitor, where they ask a moral question, or in the style of Canamar, where they're being manipulative and being gray?
Kind of both.
Okay.
Yeah, I was originally saying like kind of more of the Cogenitor like issues, not necessarily like handle it in the same way. Like you can still have a more of a happier episode, but issues that aren't as easy as like, okay, well, this is obviously right and this is obviously wrong. I think that they do good when it's not as clear cut.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think they will do? You've said what you think they should do. What do you think they will do?
It's honestly hard for me to predict, given how this season ended. It seems like a pretty dramatic shift for the show if they at least, plan on focusing a bit on the Delphic expanse and then how, Archer and the crew navigate this new situation they're in.
Yeah, it seems like the tone will shift some. Well, it seems that way.
What I'm most interested in right now is Trip. And how they're going to resolve his new character arc that he seems to be undergoing.
What do you think about that?
I think that it didn't necessarily get the attention I wanted in The Expanse, wanted it to. Not in a way that detracts from the episode, but more in a way that like it made me feel like they were setting up for something that would happen over the course of season 3, rather than something that would get resolved in an episode or two, where he's becoming or rather at least kind of being set up to be a bit more vengeful, and trying to desperately, not cope with his emotions.
Less happy-go-lucky, all this,
Yeah.
So you think that he's going to be more vengeful in season 3?
At least initially. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's pretty damn clear that Expanse is more of a two-parter than anything. Especially given that the first episode of season 3 is named as Indy. Or just India, I forget which. But it's sort of hard to tell until after season 3, episode 1, I'd say.
Yeah.
Just based on that alone. But yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a little less happy-go-lucky, at least initially, a bit more eventful.
Yeah, it seems like it's in Trip and I think more the crew. I mean, like that was. I mean, like you said, it was definitely in the episode there was a very stark change of tone from like, oh, okay, we're not just like fooling around out in space. Like this is Earth is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it looks like the stakes get raised. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other thoughts about, like, fun predictions for season? How many shirtless scenes did we end up with for Trip,
I think it was only 5.
I can't believe this happened. All right. Any other
Let's say 6. You want to go with 6 for the next one?
Do you have any predictions for season 3? Beyond what was just said about it?
It's very hard at the moment to say anything about it.
All right.
Because I can't really gauge how expansive, God, forgive the pun, but expansive this next arc is going to be. Whether it'll actually be something that gets resolved in season 3, episode 1, and will be out of the expanse
and
after that.
Yeah, they're just back to normal, or
if this is something bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I have to leave. I was supposed to get off the phone an hour ago, so thank you guys again. I'm glad we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was awesome. I'm really looking forward to season 3.
Yeah.
I'm excited. And now you can finally watch it. I mean, other than all the exams we had this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Good luck with everything.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good.